Why is Canada suing Taylor Swift? Why are Nicki Minaj's neighbors filing a petition against her? And did killer whales have anything to do with the tragic implosion of the Titan submersible? All hell broke loose on Tuesday when Taylor Swift announced international tour dates for her Eras tour in Latin America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. And who did she leave out? Well, of course it was Canada, and it caused an uproar. The decision resulted in the hashtag #CriesInCanadian trending on Twitter, and fans started posting about how disappointed they were with the announcement. But people are not just sad, they're also angry. Now, federal lawmakers are stepping in. On Wednesday, there was an official grievance filed with the House of Commons by Conservative Alberta MP Matt Jenereau. In the letter he wrote, "It has come to my attention that despite much anticipation, Taylor Swift's Eras tour has neglected to include any Canadian dates or locations as she released her international dates, which includes stops throughout Asia and Europe." The MP said that he was filing the grievance on behalf of all Canadian Swifties and asking Taylor to reconsider. He said, "Not only is this leaving Canadian fans without the opportunity to see her tour, but it's also leaving Canada out of the economic opportunities that her shows generate." He mentioned the fact that Taylor's shows are estimated to generate about $4.6 billion for local economies. Because fans don't just attend concerts, they spend money at local businesses, including hotels, restaurants, and shops. He ended the letter by saying, "This motion is non-partisan in nature and requires swift action to address what I can only assume is a serious oversight." In fact, the motion received support from both sides of the House. The Eras tour is Taylor's 6th world tour and her only one to admit any stops in Canada. Her last performance in Canada was all the way back in August of 2018, when she stopped in Toronto for her Reputation Stadium tour. So it's no wonder that fans had so much anticipation and hope that she would return. On Tuesday, she unveiled a list of international shows in 2024, including Europe, Asia, and Australia. After a break in December and January, the tour will pick back up again in Tokyo, Japan, and it will follow with stops in major cities like Melbourne, Australia, Sydney, Australia, Singapore, Paris, Stockholm, and Sweden. Then she'll wrap up the tour with 2 final shows in London in August of 2024. Taylor is currently halfway through the US dates of her tour, and it will continue this weekend with 2 shows in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The only thing that seems to be a recurring issue for fans is their dealings with Ticketmaster. In fact, the ticket sale website has proven to be a disaster in the months since the tour was announced. This problem is so widespread that it even led to a Brazilian lawmaker introducing a bill which is nicknamed the Taylor Swift Law. It's supposed to stop scalpers that make buying legal tickets for her show nearly impossible. Taylor is playing 3 shows in Sao Paulo, which is where a bill was introduced that would criminalize ticket scalping with penalties of up to 4 years in prison and fees of up to 100 times the original ticket price. Tickets for the Latin American branch of the Eras tour have generated so much excitement and chaos that online scalpers have overwhelmed servers and pushed real fans to the end of the queues. There are even in-person scalpers who are known to get violent in an attempt to buy tickets for resale. This was also a major issue back in January when over 3.5 million people registered to get a pre-sale code from Ticketmaster's verified fan system, but only 1.5 million fans were sent codes to access the pre-sale. The company then said that due to bot attacks as well as fans who didn't have codes, they reported that 3.5 billion total system requests were recorded during that pre-sale. As a result, fans were stuck for hours and the website itself was frozen or it kept crashing at checkout. In the end, 2.4 million tickets were sold during the pre-sale alone. Ticketmaster later cancelled the general sale due to what they called insufficient remaining ticket inventory to meet the demand. Essentially, the verified fan system is meant to ensure that fans get their hands on tickets before bots and resellers do. But shortly after the pre-sale, tickets began popping up on ticket resale websites for ridiculous amounts of money. Sadly, fans were either faced with paying thousands of dollars more for a ticket or missing out on the opportunity to see their favorite artist perform. It was just such a mess no matter which way you looked at it. Alright, now it looks like Nicki Minaj's neighbors are trying to kick her out of the Hidden Hills. There's a petition circulating online from Hidden Hills residents worried about Nicki and her husband Kenneth Petty moving into the fancy neighborhood, and hundreds of them have apparently signed it hoping to keep them out. The petition was started by a resident named Beverly Barden, and it takes issue with the fact that Kenneth is a registered offender, considering the fact that he was convicted of attempted SA back in 1995, in a case that landed him in prison for more than 4 years. He recently filed new legal documents changing his address on the Megan's Law website, so that's most likely when the neighbors took notice. Nicki and Kenneth bought a mansion in Hidden Hills back in December, although Kenneth is currently serving 1 year of home detention for failing to register as an offender in California. The residents seem to be concerned about more than just their safety. safety though. It's been suggested that the mere presence of him in the community would hurt their property values and would affect the general feel of the area. So there is clearly a strong pushback to the idea of him moving in, despite the fact that they've already bought the $19.5 million home. The petition says Kenneth Petty is a level 3 offender and has a high likelihood of reoffending. He was also found guilty for killing a man. The Petty couple moving in would lead to the appraisal of our homes going down due to safety concerns. It would lead to children and women being a target. We, the residents of Hidden Hills, must put our residents' safety first. Don't wait to receive a letter from the government saying that a predator has moved in near you. Do not allow this dangerous offender to live near you. This situation is just the latest example of how controversial Nikki and Kenneth's relationship has proven to be. Because of his criminal past, Nikki has had to defend him from criticism numerous times. In August, the couple were sued by Jennifer Hugh, the woman he was convicted of attempting to SA. She filed a lawsuit against the two of them, accusing them of continually targeting her to try to make her take back her claims. Apparently, Nikki called several times to speak with her about recanting the story, and she received numerous phone calls and unexpected visits from individuals associated with the couple. At one point, even Nikki's publicist was in talks to pay her a visit in order to discuss her statement. The lawsuit states that Jennifer has not worked since May of 2020 due to severe depression, paranoia, constant moving, and threats from the defendants and their associates. She's currently living in isolation out of fear of retaliation. She's since claimed that her life has been uprooted by Nikki and Kenneth, and most of this goes back years. She opened up about the life-altering backlash she received when she decided to step forward and share her account of the incident. The constant intimidation and targeting led her to live a life of secrecy and privacy. She claimed that the couple even offered her upwards of $500,000 to take back these claims, but she refused. Over a year ago, Nikki announced that she was officially married to Kenneth Petty. The rapper excitedly shared the news with her fans on the popular show Queen Radio. The pair had allegedly been dating since 2018. In several interviews around that same time, Nikki alluded to the fact that she'd been dreaming of her wedding day since she was a child. By the time she announced her marriage though, fans already knew that Kenneth was a registered offender, and that's when the backlash began. At one point in 2019, she responded to the controversy that she received for marrying him by declaring her husband had been wrongfully accused of attempted SA at the age of 15. She also claimed that Jennifer had written a letter to the judge in 1995 requesting to recant her statement. According to Nikki, when Jennifer figured out that he would go to jail for 90 days, she decided not to recant her statement. Nikki has been defending him for their entire relationship. In December of 2018, after receiving backlash from fans on social media, she stood up for him in her Instagram comments. When speaking about the charges of SA, she said, "He was 15, she was 16 in a relationship, but go off internet." Then in a 2019 episode of Queen Radio, she said, "When you're someone's wife, you've got to be more prayed up, because you've got to cover your husband in prayer." This was a direct response to the criticism that was raised after Nikki announced that she had married him. In November that same year, Wendy Williams spoke about their relationship and said that Nikki should never have married him because now she's ruined everything about what her brand could be. She then directed her staff to get digging into his illegal history and said, "There's more on him, everybody get to digging." Nikki responded via Queen Radio and said, "I didn't know that in our society you have to be plagued by your past. I didn't know that people can't turn over a new leaf. I didn't know that your viciousness and evilness was this deep-rooted." She also accused Wendy of reporting on his past with evil intentions and claimed that she wasn't just trying to do her job. Now let's talk about the rumor that killer whales were behind the Titan implosion. As we now know, the search for the missing Titan submersible ended in tragedy. The US Coast Guard announced that they found debris which is consistent with a catastrophic implosion, which is believed to have happened on Sunday morning, about an hour and 45 minutes into their descent in the Atlantic Ocean. The divers discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the sea floor. Before the discovery was made, there were all kinds of rumors swirling on social media as to what could have caused the vessel to go missing. At one point, the idea that orcas could somehow be responsible was brought up, given the fact that the pod of orcas off the Strait of Gibraltar have sunk 3 ships. But experts warn that this was always a false theory, and it's actually damaging the animal's reputation. Marine Mammal Research Unit Director Andrew Tides spoke to Newsweek about the rumors. He said that although orcas do live in the North Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Canada, they don't dive deeper than 100 meters into the ocean, whereas the wreckage of the Titanic is approximately 4,000 meters deep in the ocean. So he says that there is no way this population of killer whales could be involved with what's happened to the submersible. The accident accidental sinking of ships because of damage invoked by killer whales is unique to the orca pod off the coast of Spain and Portugal, though the population does not interact with other pods, so other pods would have to develop this action completely on their own, which is extremely unlikely. Also, submersibles are just made of different material to sailboats, given the extreme pressure that the vessel has to endure when it dives thousands of meters deep into the ocean. It would just be impossible for any animal to damage the exterior enough to sink it. The sailboats that were damaged are often made out of fiberglass, which is a very fragile material, so it's a lot easier to damage. Experts worry that this kind of speculation about killer whales is actually harming their reputation, the reputation of the whole species. Monica Whalen, the director of the Orca Behavior Institute, spoke to Newsweek and said that the media coverage on the orcas is bordering on unhinged, and it could result in people becoming afraid of the whales for no reason. She said, "My concern is for the whales, and who outside of the small population near the Strait of Gibraltar have absolutely no interest in interacting with vessels of any type." So this theory has been completely debunked. As for the tragedy of the Titan, it's been reported that an implosion is certainly what caused the deaths of the 5-person crew. This horrific accident resulted in the loss of British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani billionaire Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman, French diver Paul Henry, and OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush. Leading the search was Rear Admiral John Morga, who has now offered his condolences to the families and said that he hopes the discovery can bring them some solace during this difficult time. Well, let me know what you guys think about this story, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.